although it doesn't look like it, a little bit of work does go into putting my silly little videos together. And by a little, I mean, well, you know, I've been thinking about this particular car for the last 5 days, a 2022 Porsche 718 Cayman T. And, you know, I got ideas swirling in my head, and I was about to start off this video by saying, you know, this might not be the Cayman U. And then immediately it dawned on me that, yes, sure, fine, I would love to drive a GT4 RS, but what I like above all is just driving. And that is often something that is confused in driving enthusiasts' minds and performance or car enthusiasts' minds, where speed equals driving equals fun. And that's not always the case. Don't get me wrong, the Cayman T is fast. But if you know anything about Porsche, you know that, well, A, 718 is the entry-level Porsche. The Cayman T is based off the base Cayman, meaning that it has the smaller engine. This is where I'm going with the thing about speed and power. I mean, I've had a discussion with, obviously I have a few friends that enjoy cars, and they're like, oh, Cayman T, it's a really cool car, but you know, it doesn't have the 2.5 turbo, and it's nothing like the flat six that it used. It's difficult to have people understand the error in their ways when they speak like that, especially when, well, you know, about 99% of those people that I have spoken to have never driven a Porsche, let alone something as special as this. I do mean special. I mean, just a few words on the Cayman itself, right? It came out with the 987 generation based on the Boxster, so it never really did have the droopy front end. And quite frankly, I've had the absolute privilege of driving many, many Porsches, all the way up to a GT2 RS, and I've tracked a number of them. And above all, my favorite driving experience ever was at a BMW Canada Club event at Tremblant in just a very basic 987 Cayman S 6-speed. Look, once more, here's another example of a video review that if you want an objective point of view, this is not the place to get it. This is a Porsche, after all. And let me be clear when I say that every iteration of every Porsche that Porsche decides to build and sell has its place. And the Cayman T, or 718 Cayman T, like the 991, 911 Carrera T that I drove, 4 years ago already, exist to remind people what a Porsche really, really is. Yes, it's a premium, high-performance automobile maker, but it's truly about the drive. And the simplicity and the direct, uninterrupted communication between the vehicle and the driver. And that's where the T for touring comes in. So in the following video, which hopefully won't be too long-winded, apologies already, should it turn out that way. I mean, yes, I do think it out and plan some things out, but not everything, clearly. I'll do a quick tour of the 982 generation of the 718. Not that you've not seen it, because it's been around for a few years. And then we're going to go for a very relaxing and invigorating drive. So here we go. Okay, well, I kind of jumped the gun there on the styling. I mean, every generation, 987, 981, 982 of the Cayman, now 718 Cayman, are just so Porsche, it hurts. I mean, the car is beautiful. The mid-rear engine layout means that the proportions can be absolutely perfect. Unlike the 911, I'm not bashing the 911, obviously. It doesn't have as much junk in the trunk, which makes it look leaner, slimmer. And the wheelbase, proportionally speaking, seems really, really long, but the car is actually quite small. No, it's not small, it's perfect. It's just absolutely perfect. But you know what? What's really important about the styling on this car is the color. This, my friends, is racing yellow. And every time I get a press car, I do spec it out on the manufacturer's Canadian websites and sometimes play around in the US just to see the differences. But the point is that this car, when I spec'd it out, I paused. I was like, Guards Red is such a go-to color. But the Shark Blue is mind-blowing. And then there's Python Green, which is just over the top. And I have to say that I clicked on Frozen Berry maybe 3 or 4 times. But if I was the person specking out my brand new 718T, I would go with Racing Yellow. There's something playful about the color and the contrasting with the stickers. See, the whole 718T package comes with those decals on the doors, which can be removed at the factory, or not installed, I should say, which would be a massive mistake. Boy, so many words. I'm so sorry. Okay, let's just talk about pricing. In the US, 718 starts at $63,400. At the other end of the spectrum, the GT4 RS is $149,100. Canada, the base 718 is $70,700, all the way up to $175,200 for the GT4 RS. The 718 Cayman T in the US is $72,500. In Canada, $81,700. So what you get when you select the T as your trim is everything you need and nothing you don't, unless you add it on afterwards, of course. And that's what makes this car so brilliant in my mind. I mean, you get the sport seats, the sport exhaust, the 20-inch Carrera wheels, and quite possibly the most interesting thing, Porsche's active suspension management, yes, PASM, which lowers the car by 20 millimeters over these Carrera 20-inch wheels. Can you, and I think we could just stare at this car, just the simplicity of its lines, but the purposefulness of every curve, of every body panel, of every, look at this, look at that. Yeah, I know you've seen tons of 718 Caymans on the road, but I don't know, the yellow just pops so hard. Okay, this is a press car, so obviously it's well loaded up. It's got the interior package, which includes, in this case, the yellow seat belts and a bunch of other accent stitchings and little pieces. It's got the Bose audio, and among other options, the PDK, for a grand total of just over $90,000. If I was lucky enough to purchase my Cayman T, I would go for the absolute most basic version, no options, with the manual transmission. That's not a dig against the PDK. Obviously, I'll tell you a little bit more for the umpteenth time. I mean, that you'll hear for the umpteenth time about how good the PDK is. Anyhow, look, there's a frunk. 150 liters, kind of tough to open up with only one hand, but it doesn't matter. There's a rear trunk too, which opens up to 272 liters maximum. Well, let's just go inside for a second. I mean, the important things I've mentioned. The sports seats with the yellow contrast stitching. Is that not just fantastic? And one thing I really, really like about the 718 right now is that it still has the older Porsche dashboard layout. That's just the old man in me appreciating things the way they were. I'm just gonna slide in. Yeah, see. Just a power seat back, but manual controls for everything else. It's fantastic. All right, sliding in. The gauges, nothing more to say, the gauges. The paddle shifters to your heart. Let's just start it up. I mean, come on, sport exhaust, and it was off, right? There's your infotainment system, it's there, it works, whatevs. Dual zone climate control, it's there, whatevs. I mean, there isn't anything else to say. The cup holders are still there, which are fantastic. The door pulls, one of the coolest things in any purpose-built automobile. You can see out of it, and now it's time to drive. I just realized that in my rush to get out on the road, I completely forgot to just point out the Sport Chrono Drive mode selector wheel right down here on the steering wheel. There it is. Right now, I'm trying to get out of the city, and I believe 60 million other people are trying to do the exact same thing as I am. And it's only mid-afternoon, almost late afternoon now, I guess, on a Thursday. I don't know what's going on. I guess it's a beautiful day, so people want to get out. Okay, enough about that. So, the 718 Cayman T is based off the base Cayman, meaning it has the turbocharged 2-liter flat 4-cylinder engine, not the Cayman S's 2.5-liter 4-cylinder engine. Even so, the 2-liter produces, and obviously all the lights too, 300 horsepower at 6,500 RPM and 280 pound-feet of torque between 2,150 and 4,500 RPM. Now the Cayman T has, like I said, everything you need, and I pointed out a few things like PASM and so on, and nothing you don't. So what that means, and these are, the sport seats are a little bit, well, totally the car, total weight of the car is a little bit down on, say, comparatively equipped Cayman S models, one because of the engine and a few other items. So that means that as spec'd, this car, this lowly 2-liter 718 Cayman T will still reach 100 kilometers an hour from a standstill, thanks to this thing, PDK, in only 4.7 seconds. That is, in the real world, where we live, where you and I are and breathe, that is insanely fast. But that's just part of the speed story, because it's not, like I was trying to say earlier, it's not about going fast. It's about feeling speed. Like, for example, an MX-5 Miata, everybody is trying to leave the city at the same time as I am. Unbelievable. All right, look, I don't control traffic. I don't know what the hell's going on. That means that this car, I'm struggling it's effervescent. There it is. Hopefully I'll remember that when I write my story. It's effervescent. It fizzes. It's alive in your hands. And everything like the MX-5 and the BRZ and the GT86, everything is equal on equal footing. I think I'm following a school bus. Unbelievable, my timing and my luck. Meaning that you have a magnificent amount of power, incredible braking power. You have a chassis that is tuned to deliver all the handling and just enough comfort to make you want to keep driving. Steering that is, it's effortless, but absolutely intuitive. And, well, this thing, again, there's something about the PDK that as soon as you sit your butt in the seat, you connect with the automobile and the transmission, the computers, everything becomes one. I mean, Porsche has a lot to compensate for my lack of whatever. But I swear, just driving, your brain sends a signal as it makes its way down your arm for an upshift. In this case, by the time the signal gets to your wrist, the transmission's already shifted. It's taken me all week so far to still get reused to how quickly this thing responds. And I'm in D, and I'm in normal drive mode. I mean, you can go into Sport Plus, obviously. But I think the ideal and the perfect touring mode is individual. You set it via the sleeve. I don't know if you can see it there, and the menu pops up there. And then, look, I have the powertrain. I have the powertrain set on Sports, not Sport Plus. The PASM is on normal. And the exhaust obviously is on Sport, and yes, the spoiler goes up because why not? But in this mode, and when in manual mode, the desire to keep driving, to drive some more and further is so deep and so strong. Because this car exceeds 99% of every driver's abilities in its abilities. But it's not overwhelming. It's not overpowering. You think that because this car is so good to drive, you think that you're a good driver. But it's the car. And with the PDK, it's just undeniable. But that's why the touring is so important. Because it reminds you why you drive. I'm behind a Honda Insight. It reminds you why driving is so, right now is frustrating. But eventually the Insight will go away. And anyhow, I can't believe it. The thing is that this car, the Cayman S, is very balanced as well when it comes to power and braking and chassis and all that. But that extra boost in output you will get used to it, but could seem intimidating at times, especially when you're leaning into a corner and you kind of get happy or get on the throttle too soon. And I mean, the car will catch it, obviously, unless you shut everything off, but on the Insight. But like this, the amount of power and how quickly your brain can process the speed are so perfectly matched that you feel like you're the master. And that's the emphasis on that. I cannot put enough emphasis on how important that is, or how it makes the driver feel good. And just, this is a touring, right? Touring, meaning that you want to go for a 2-hour drive just to reignite your spirit or your love of life. I don't know. Get away from the kids. It's not like a grand touring where you figure, I'm going to drive from Montreal to Toronto in well, it's a boring drive anyway, but point is that this is for spirited excursions within legal limits, of course. Of course. Of course. Yeah. And a word about the flat 4. I don't know really what people are complaining about. Yeah, sorry, the road is bad. I'm very comfortable with the phone. I can see it moving. I don't know what people are really complaining about. The flat 4 sounds incredible. It's Porsche sounding. Flat 6, naturally aspirated, has a different sound. This sounds just as Porsche as anything else. My goodness, I'm going on. The thing is with this car is that if you were going to buy yourself a toy and not buy it to flex, not buy a GT4 or a 911 Turbo S or something like that, just to flex that you have money, but you want a true driving and excursion companion, I mean, sure, any Porsche will do that for you. But this one was honed and tuned. It's so easy. It's so good. Honed and tuned to do exactly that with you. I am... Oh, it seems so bad, but it's so good. Because the chassis is on normal. On Sport Plus, I wish I could track this car. But anyway, that's it. I'm done. So sorry. Thank you.